पगदियां खबरां च तुहाड़ा स्वागत है। मैं हाँ हनीहा गुलाटी ते हर वार की तरह अज असीं फिर पगदियां खबरां बारे गलबात करांगे। साडे नाल अज स्टूडियो विच मौजूद हैं एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान फरहीन खान जो कि NDP कैंडिडेट हैं मिसिसागा सेंटर तो साडी अज की डिस्कशन च साडा साथ दे रहे हैं हरप्रीत रंधावा जी ते मैं तुहानू दोनों नू बहुत ही वेलकम करती हाँ।
थैंक यू
सो मच। सो फरहीन जी गलबात का सिलसिला असीं वधावांगे ते थोड़ा जिहा अपने बारे इंट्रोडक्शन दिओ प्लीज़।
Sure, तो मैं जो हूँ एक तो पहले थैंक यू सो मच कि मुझे इस शो पे बुलाया है। मेरा नाम फरहीन खान है, मैं MP कैंडिडेट हूँ NDP के लिए मिसिसागा सेंटर से और पली बड़ी यहीं हूँ मिसिसागा में। मेरी फैमिली जो है ओरिजिनली इंडिया से हैदराबाद से और हमारी जो फैमिली we're from a big family, काफ़ी बड़ी फैमिली हमारी 9 but 7 भाई बहन और बाबा मम्मी यहाँ पे 71 में आए थे और जब से अब तक काफ़ी चेंज बेसिकली बाबा पुलिस में काम करने लगे। पहले जब आए थे उनकी बैकग्राउंड तो वो थी नहीं मगर जो भी जॉब मिला वो लग गए राइट। और फिर उसके बाद से फिर मैं भी काम करने यंग एज से शुरू करी थी एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड टू कम इनटू द नॉन प्रॉफिट सेक्टर राइट। तो वहाँ पे मैं काफ़ी बड़ी बड़ी चैरिटीज़ के लिए काम कर चुकी हूँ और आजकल भी फिर भी एक कंसल्टेंट की तरह काम करती हूँ
जी। तो फरहीन जी जैसे कि आपने बताया कि आप काफ़ी कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काम करती हैं तो थोड़ा उस बारे में बताइए कि जो आपकी कैंपेनिंग है क्या कम्युनिटी प्रोग्राम्स और कम्युनिटी डेवलपमेंट के आसपास ही है?
हमारी कैंपेन तो देखिए जी द थिंग इज़ कि हमारी मैं जो सोशल डेमोक्रेट हूँ या NDP के लिए काम कर रही हूँ एक्चुअली मेरी वैल्यूज़ जो है वो काफ़ी अलाइन होते हैं ना NDP के साथ और NDP का काम ही यही है कि हम जो है सारी लोगों की अफोर्डेबल लिविंग के लिए हम ज़्यादा काम कर रहे हैं राइट ताकि हमारी $15 a day चाइल्ड केयर प्रोग्राम आए ताकि हम अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग बनाए लोगों के लिए ना और $15 मिनिमम वेज भी इंक्रीज़ कर चुके हैं। तो ऐसे चीज़ों की वजह से ना एक्चुअली हाँ सही है कि मेरा काम जो मैं पहले भी कर चुकी थी वो भी काफ़ी अलाइन होता ना हमारी NDP के प्लेटफॉर्म से।
मैम आपने अभी बोला $15 टर्म 2-3 बार यूज़ करी जो NDP का मिनिमम वेज प्रोग्राम है $15 मिनिमम वेज को करना। Few questions on that. Number one questions, there are very few people in whole Canada which will get affected.
Okay.
Right. Second question, if you look at this $15 program, what will happen? It will bring inflation to the market. As a businessman, let's say if I own a bakery, right, and I'm paying people $11, and now I have to pay $15, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase price of the product I'm selling. So at the end, Canadians will be paying more. So the saving, whatever saving NDP is trying to show them, that's not going to happen. So I really don't know how this $15 program will help and whom it will help.
Okay, well, thank you for asking the question. Actually, $15 a day का जो program है, it's $15 a day for a federal minimum wage, right? So it affects federal employees.
That's right.
It doesn't affect small businesses, right? So that's one.
So how many federal employees you guys have?
So there'll be about 100,000 jobs that'll be affected. So I mean, certainly we're the only party that's offering this to begin with. But $100,000 jobs is a lot more than not, right? That's one. The other thing is that with the $15 per hour minimum wage, our hope is that we can actually provide, we create a bar, right? So that we can actually create a standard so that provincially, then we'll be able to also raise the minimum wage, right?
That's where the problem will come with small business.
No, so here's the thing. So one of the things the NDP is very much about is actually trying to support small businesses. So we'll be creating new incentives for small businesses. We're also going to be reducing the corporate tax rate for small businesses.
2%.
Yes. So in all of that's happening, there will be more leeway for small businesses to be able to actually increase their rate. While we are not, suggesting that they have to bring it up to 15% $15 an hour right away, what we are encouraging them to do is to be able to support individuals to be able to live more affordably, right? I mean, and at the same time, if we're going back to the $15, that's the minimum wage. We're also talking about $15 child care program, right? $15 a day, and that actually will save a lot of money for individuals and families as well, right? Because people are paying significant amounts of money, almost up to $2,000 in Mississauga and Brampton per child for child care. So these are all different ways in which we can try to make life more affordable, right, for Canadians across.
Okay, but I'm from Alberta. We are already in recession in Alberta, and I hope you will agree with me. Even Canada is also in recession.
Absolutely.
Alberta is, as I said, is in recession. NDP when came in power, they already increased $1, and when we talk to small business people, there is a panic in market, and they are nervous what will happen in 2018 when they have to pay their employees $15. And when I talk to most of small business owners, and that's exactly they are saying they are going to increase the price. That will bring the inflation and the saving. People will not have saving. You make more, but you spend more. So how people are going to get benefited with this program?
Well, I mean, I think that you know what, there will be other incentives that'll be created, right? Like this is just one piece of the puzzle that we're talking about when we're talking about, the $15 a day, right? But we're also talking about supporting families through affordable housing as well, right? Like we know Alberta has, some of the highest rates in housing as well, right? So there are other ways that we'll be able to provide support to families. And like I said, right, the $15 a day childcare program, the housing strategy, the national housing strategy. We're talking about creating incentive for small businesses. We're talking about kickstarting the manufacturing sector again, which I think will definitely benefit Alberta as well, because right now you're very much focused on oil, right? So we need to be able to diversify our sector again, and be able to, just support all types of businesses, particularly small, middle-sized businesses. The problem with the Conservatives and the current government is that they're focused on only supporting multi-million-dollar corporations, right? They have no interest in supporting small, medium-sized businesses. That's part of the issue, right? But we recognize as the NDP that we actually are invested in creating sustainable, stronger jobs for people, and that comes from the small, medium-sized businesses.
So, मिस खान, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी कि जैसे कि हम बात कर रहे हैं कि स्टीफन हार्पर कई सारी स्ट्रैटेजीज़ जो है प्रपोज कर रहे हैं, कैंपेनिंग का दौर चल रहा है, हर पार्टी लीडर अपनी अपनी क्या स्ट्रैटेजी प्रपोज कर रहा है। हाल ही उन्होंने ये बात कही है कि कुछ सीरिया या कुछ उसके आसपास के इलाकों में उन लोगों को रोका, आईसिस अफेक्टेड जो एरियाज़ हैं वहाँ पे जो लोगों का जो सफ़र है वो बंद कर दिया जाएगा। तो उस बारे में आपका क्या सोचना है, क्या ये जस्टिफाइड है?
Well, I mean, the thing is that unki sari jo, their whole campaign, right, is based on divisive politics, right? They're trying to create hate and fear. They're targeting specific communities particularly, right, to be able to create, and that unfortunately is impacting the Muslim community as well, right? I mean, we all across, Stephen Harper has used very problematic language, right, to target the Muslim community, to say, you know what, they're the problem, right? That, terrorism begins and ends from Muslims, and that's not accurate, right? We've seen extremism in all parts of the world and in all types of, in all communities, right? As far as the travel ban goes, the problem with that is that, the government should not be dictating what and where Canadians should be traveling to, right? The question is, how do they, first of all, he hasn't actually said which countries would be affected by this. We know that there's extremism in many, in many countries. So, where does the line begin and end, right? That's problematic to begin with. But secondly, is that really going to cut the problem that we're having as far as extremism goes in Canada, right? We're not denying that there is extremism, but that again is across, right? Not just in Canada, it exists across the world. So by preventing people from traveling, particularly Canadians, is that going to affect the route or not? Is that going to actually support? Is that actually going to eliminate extremism? I don't believe it will. Right? So
उनका ये कहना है, उनका ये मानना है कि जो आईसिस अफेक्टेड एरियाज़ हैं वहाँ पे लोग रिक्रिएशन और टूरिज्म के लिए तो जाएंगे नहीं। ऑब्वियस जाहिर सी बात है कि कोई टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ज्वाइन कर नहीं जाएंगे, क्योंकि वाकई ही जहाँ पे ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस का कंट्रोल होगा तो वहाँ पे और कोई इंसान किस और मकसद के लिए जा सकता है। तो उस चीज़ को प्रिवेंट, क्योंकि हाल ही में कुछ जो इवेंट्स है वो रिपोर्ट किए गए थे, कुछ लोगों को जाते हुए देखा गया था, तो वो तो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के तौर पर ये बात कर रहे हैं।
Right, मगर उनकी जो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि उनकी सारी जो policies है अब तक है, they've been too broad, right? उनकी ये policy, they haven't said where, right? So where does extremism come from? It could be Pakistan, it could be India, it could be Africa, कहीं से भी हो सकता है, right? He has been too broad in what he's suggesting.
तो आपके कहने का मतलब उन्हें और specific होना चाहिए as regional distribution is concerned.
If he says he's just going to ban to those areas, वो सिर्फ उस एरिया पे ban लगाएंगे जो ISIS affected हैं, for example areas in Syria and Iran. So will you agree with that?
I just don't think it's going to really make a difference, to be honest, right? I mean, Tom Mulcair said the same thing. The actual policy doesn't really hit the root of what the problem is, right? So us banning anybody from traveling to any particular part of the area is not going to affect the root. The reality is that if we want to counter terrorism and extremism, we have to recognize that it exists and that we have to work with communities in our own communities here in Canada and try to work with them to figure out what the root of the extremism is from and how we're going to address that issue, right? Okay. You know, so, and that's part of the issue. So with us, I mean, part of this is going back to also C-51, right? So we've seen the anti-terrorism bill. The C-51 bill is far too broad and is very problematic, right? Because it gives you the illusion that you have to choose, you know, your rights versus privacy or your rights versus safety, national security, right? And that's a problem. You shouldn't have to choose. You should be able to do both, right? So when people are talking about C-51 and the fact that you could be picked up on the you know, the fact that you may commit a crime in the future, or you're thinking about, you know, being added to the no-fly list, right? Or anybody who's anti-government could basically be charged and detained. These are all very problematic things, right? And that's why, you know, especially because it's become so broad that their term of national terror, you know, becoming a, you know, a threat to or being anti-government is so broad that it includes people like environmentalists, right? Human rights advocates, you know, anybody who's anti-government basically would be charged in the same way. That's the problem, right?
तो आपको लगता है तो आपको लगता है कि ये जो उनकी स्ट्रैटेजी है इससे उनको बैकफायर किया जा सकता है कि मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी की तरफ से रिटेलिएशन के तौर पे उन्हें वोट ना की जाए?
Of course, मेरे ख्याल से तो it's not even just the Muslim community. हाँ, मैं तो मुसलमान हूँ, मेरा हिजाब पहनती हूँ, right? Like people can see that. मगर the thing is कि ऐसी जो policies उनकी है, especially C-51 की तरह, ये सिर्फ हमारी community की नहीं है, ये सारे Canadians की बात कर रहे हैं हम, right? कि हमारी सारी civil rights, you know, they're taking away our rights, right? चाहे we can't have freedom of speech, freedom of religion. सिर्फ एक कम्युनिटी की बात नहीं है वो, अगर आज हमारी कम्युनिटी की कल किसी और की कम्युनिटी भी हो सकती है, राइट? तो इट्स द क्वेश्चन ऑफ हाउ डू वी स्टैंड टुगेदर अगेंस्ट दीज पॉलिसीज, क्योंकि वी डोंट नीड एनी मोर हेट एंड फियर, राइट? और आप देखें तो भी अगर इफ़ यू सी यूएस में इससे हमारी जो एक्सट्रीमिज़म की जो केस हुई हैं ऑटवा में, वो सिर्फ एक ही केस की वजह से इतने सारे जो पॉलिसीज जब आए हैं इतना तो यूएस में भी नहीं हुआ था, राइट? एट दैट टाइम तो दैट्स द थिंग वी हैव टू कीप इन माइंड, राइट? क्योंकि यू नो जो हुआ वो गलत था, that's fine, we recognize that, right? कि ऑटवा में जो हुआ था, that shooting was you know, unfortunate, मगर we can't use that one example, right? ये कहने के लिए कि हमारी सारी Canadians जो है, you know, are extremists, or you can't just, you know, paint the entire community with one brush to say all Muslims are this, right? It's just not acceptable.
Conservative also talked about hijab. आपने अभी हिजाब का नाम लिया. Citizenship ceremonies में हिजाब पहनने से मना कर दिया गया. Being a Muslim female or Muslim lady, how do you feel about that?
Well, मेरा जो ये है ना कि you.
I mean, आपको लगता है कहीं ना कहीं आपके freedom को इससे धक्का लगा है और आपका freedom ले लिया गया है?
Of course, and it's not just because I'm a Muslim woman or that I wear hijab. I mean, absolutely, that's who I am as a person. But I think that the government has no place dictating what a woman should or should not wear, right? Like, I think that's the bottom line when it comes down to it. And you know, whether if it's for, and I've spoken to women who wear hijab and wear niqab, right, and covered their face. And the reality is that it's not that they're not willing to, you know, ask for an accommodation and identify themselves, right? And this woman in this particular case did identify herself, but the fact is that they're being told that after you identify yourself, you're supposed to sit through that half an hour, 45-minute ceremony without it. That's a violation on her rights, right? Because if she, you know, the government has no place dictating what a woman should or should not wear, whether it's the hijab, whether it's the, you know, whether it's a dupatta or an orni, like, you know, that's not where there has to be a separation between what the government does and how people live, right? And what our rights are as individuals.
So are you saying do not tell us what to wear?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we are talking about Bill C-51 and hijab, थोड़े दिन पहले एक न्यूज़ आई थी, लगभग 6 महीने पहले, कि मिसिसागा के किसी मॉस्क से एक फतवा जारी हुआ है जहाँ पे ये बोला गया कि मुस्लिम लेडीज़ मस्ट गो एंड वोट. तो क्या कल मस्जिद से कोई ऐसा फतवा भी जारी हो सकता है जिसमें ये बोला जाए कि कौन सी पार्टी को वोट किया जाए?
ऐसे तो I didn't hear anything about that fatwa, to be honest.
No, it was on newspaper. It was everywhere.
Okay, well, yeah. I've
what that fatwa is कि Muslim females must go and vote.
Must go and vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not about कि किस पार्टी को वोट करें, पर अब मेरा क्वेश्चन है क्या कल ऐसा कोई फतवा भी आ सकता है कि don't vote for them or vote for these people?
वैसे तो the thing is कि मैं जब मस्जिदों में जाती हूँ, because I've been speaking at a lot of mosques lately, well, we're encouraging people to vote, period, right? It's very important to vote. Now we know, and I speak about this very openly, that we know that Stephen Harper has not been very friendly to the Muslim community. We also know that generally he's become, with his policies like C-24 and C-51, they're anti-immigrant, they're, you know, anti-civil rights, anti-human rights, you name it, it's all anti-everybody, right? So, you know, he's doing his best to create divisive politics and target different communities to play to his base of voters, right? But and so therefore, you know, I definitely would not encourage people to vote for the Conservative Party. That's hands down accurate. One of the things that we've also been saying, though, is that the Liberal Party has also been very supportive of Stephen Harper's policies, and particularly the fact that they voted in favor of C-51 is a big problem, right? So I'm in no place, I'm not a scholar, I'm in no place to say that there will be a fatwa that's issued, but I can certainly say that, you know, from my perspective as an NDP candidate, I would only encourage people to vote for the NDP. Because, you know, we are the official opposition, we are the next government in standing. Tom Mulcair has taken very hard positions on issues of C-51 and C-24. He's also been spoken out about these issues of the hijab and the niqab. And, you know, and he's been very supportive of ensuring that there's equality and equity for all people, right? So from that perspective, it is very important that people support the NDP.
As a Canadian, when I look at Bill C-51, I do feel like कि ऐसे कोई बिल की ज़रूरत थी, because आजकल hiring जो है वो social media से भी हो रही है. So you are saying Liberal ने कुछ बिल की support की थी. So as a Canadian, I think Liberal did what's required. I think because of Justin Trudeau, Bill C-51 में काफ़ी amendments लाई गई. So, but I see NDP just saying, NDP just opposed Bill C-51. So instead of just asking government to make some changes, do you think we do not need any such bill like Bill C-51, or do you think we do need such any such bill for Canadians for our own security or safety?
Well, we have a criminal code already, and we also already have laws that are in place that would ensure that people are, you know, are actually charged and, you know, and tried in a particular way, right? The problem comes here is my biggest problem, and a lot of the issues that the NDP is talking about as far as C-51 goes, is the fact that there's a lack of oversight, right?
Okay.
So you're giving CSIS these superpowers, you're giving enforcement superpowers, and I have nothing against enforcement. My family we have a long history of police officers and people in the army in my family, right? So I have nothing against that. My concern, though, is like many people, and including Tom Mulcair, is the fact that, you know, there's very little oversight. When you give a group of individuals, particularly enforcement, extra powers to be able to go and do things like override the Charter of Rights and Freedoms so that people don't have access to fair trials, you need to make sure that there's actually proper oversight, right? The other issue then is the actual fact that you're now having the opportunity to override the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. There's a particular reason why the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was introduced, to ensure that people had fairness, right, and fair trials and access to fairness and justice. So if you're now taking that away from people, then the question becomes, how are we still the candidate that we pride ourselves in, right, as being? We're not, you know, we're fundamentally, and that's part of what Stephen Harper's been doing with the Conservative Party. They're very much trying to dismantle, you know, and disregard the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
तो अगर बात हम बिल C-51 की कर लें, बात हम बिल C-24 की कर लें, जहाँ ड्यूल सिटीजनशिप का भी जो दौर है वो चल रहा है, उसकी भी बात तोड़ने की चल रही है, कई सारे इश्यूज़ हैं. पर आप अगर चाहते हैं कि ठीक है कि स्टीफन हार्पर, जिस तरह आपने कहा है कि नेशनल सिक्योरिटी को लेकर या एक ही मुद्दे को लेकर अपनी कैंपेनिंग कर रहे हैं या किसी पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी को टारगेट कर रहे हैं या कम्युनिटी के इश्यूज़ को डिवाइड करके जो है वोट लेने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि NDP किस तरह की पॉलिसीज़ को आगे रख सकते हैं? उनके पास क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज़ हैं टेररिज्म के साथ लड़ने के लिए? उनके पास क्या हल हैं? अगर बिल C-51 ना हो तो उनके पास किस तरह का बिल है या किस तरह के सुझाव हैं?
So that's a great question. Tom Mulcair के साथ भी हमने भी ये बात की थी, and he said the same thing कि हमारी जो policy है, sure, we want to get rid of C-51, we want to repeal it altogether. मगर the main thing is कि हमारी जो community के साथ जो हम relationship बनाएंगे, उसमें ऐसा होगा कि हमारी communities के जो actual community leaders or community की जो members हैं उनके साथ बैठ के हम उनसे बात कर सकते हैं, right? And we can actually start to develop some strategies on how to support communities that are dealing with issues of extremism, right? But right now, the way in which the Conservative Party is doing this work, they're basically, you know, just sort of shoving the information into people and just saying, you know what, this is what we want and this is how you're going to do it, right? But that doesn't, it's not a two-way communication, essentially, is what's happening, right? So people don't actually have the ability to comment or to even provide support around what the process looks like, because as a community member, we best know how the community is dealing and what issues the community is dealing with, right? I mean, you know, if you look at, for example, you know, within the not-for-profit sector, right? We all know that young people particularly have issues, you know, sometimes are dealing with issues of mental health or issues with, you know, drugs and addictions, right? There's a particular way and there's a particular process or model that is used within the not-for-profit sector, within certain agencies to actually address those issues. In the same way, and then how does that relate to issues of gang violence, right? And then youth getting attracted to that issue. So in the same way, if youth are being attracted to extremism, then what is it that we need to do to prevent them from getting into that, right? That is a critical question to be asked, and that's actually a very important conversation that has to be had with both the communities.
कहने का मतलब है कि आप कम्युनिटी से बातचीत करना चाहते हैं, उनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट इस तरह रखना चाहते हैं कि जहाँ वो आपको बताएं कि क्या सॉल्यूशंस हो सकते हैं।
जी, और उनके साथ-साथ हमारे भी सॉल्यूशंस तो हैं, we were working with them, right? Like हमारी भी ideas है कि government
सिक्योरिटी इंटेलिजेंस सर्विसेज ने डिमांड की थी कि उन्हें और पावर्स दी जाएं, उसी के साथ RCMP के साथ उनकी कुछ जो इंफॉर्मेशन शेयरिंग होती है उसके तौर पर, तो उसमें भी अगर पब्लिक कंसल्टेशन होगी वो जायज़ है?
The information sharing की तो बात है, that's another problem, right? अगर आप C51 की देखें तो they're also talking about sharing information, not just sort of within the enforcement agencies, but also with foreign agencies, right? तो उसमें भी, you know, कचरा यही बात है ना कि अगर हम देखें तो even if we go back to the liberal time, right, of Pearl Martin and others, right? You know, if you've heard of Meher Arar and some of the cases of people being, you know, actually incarcerated and held and sent to Syria and places and tortured, right? These are all examples of people who had problems happen only under the issues of security certificates. अब ये सोचें कि अगर, you know, उस टाइम पे तो ये बिल भी नहीं थी, right? अगर आगे अब ये बिल आने की वजह से अब सोचें कि और you know, कई innocent लोगों की lives को भी affect हो सकती है ना? That's the problem, right? कि हम ये नहीं चाहते कि सिर्फ जो लोग हैं जो जिनकी वजह से you know, गलत काम हो रहा है उनकी वजह से सारे लोगों को फिर you know, डर में रहना पड़े कि you know, who knows कि कल मेरा भाई या आपका भाई या you know, या मैं खुद like will be picked up because you know लोग समझिए कि शायद हम कुछ गलत कर रहे हैं, right?
तो
That's the
उस
problem.
बिल को बिल्कुल सपोर्ट नहीं करते हैं, तो उस हिसाब से आप कोई और बिल लेके आना चाहेंगे जिसमें कुछ और वे आउट होंगे CSI के लिए और RCMP के लिए?
आज तो हमारा सिर्फ यही है कि आगे चल के पहले तो हम इसको रिपील करेंगे, इसको एकदम से ख़त्म कर देंगे, उसके बाद बैठ के we can talk about कि आगे क्या करना है, right? कि you know कि या तो हमारी existing जो policies हैं, जो हमारा criminal code है और जो existing जो laws आए थे वो वही काफ़ी है या और कुछ introduce करना है, वो तो बाद की बात है, फिलहाल तो we just want to get rid of this.
So as soon as NDP will go into power, NDP bill C51 and bill C24 को ख़त्म कर देगी?
जी.
Okay. Okay. I have another question actually. थोड़े दिन पहले वैंकूवर से न्यूज़ आई थी. This is again regarding minimum wage. जहाँ पे ये पता लगा कि पंजाबी कॉलर्स को $13 दिए जा रहे हैं, and then French कॉलर्स को $15 दिए जा रहे हैं, and English कॉलर्स को $17 दिए जा रहे हैं. एक तरफ तो NDP मिनिमम वेज $15 की बात करती है, दूसरी तरफ NDP पहली बात तो यहाँ पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन का केस आया था. पंजाबी कॉलर्स डिफरेंट सैलरी, फ्रेंच कॉलर डिफरेंट सैलरी, एंड English color different salary. How do you justify this?
So sorry, you're suggesting that the NDP did that?
Yes.
We actually were paying people different. I'm not aware of that. I mean, the thing is that we're talking about $15 minimum wage, right? We are, and that would be for every community. This is not just about one particular community.
No, but what happened? NDP hired people to call for upcoming elections, and what they did, they are paying $17 to English caller, $15 to French caller, and $13 in Vancouver, BC to Punjabi callers.
Okay, so that like I said, I'm not aware that but you're suggesting that that's what happened. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, okay. Every community should be paid the same. Perhaps there was something that was happening there that you know there was I'm not, like, I can't really comment on that because that's not my belief. My understanding is that if we're going to pay people, that it's for every community and that they should be paid the same. I mean, we've been the first people to, you know, really push the gender equity as well, right? So making sure that even women are being paid the same amount as the men. So I don't see any reason why we would then go and try to get different communities to be paid at different rates.
Okay. सो मिस खान, जैसे हरप्रीत ने आपसे पूछा कि $15 मिनिमम वेज की जहाँ बात करें, मैं थोड़ा सा मुद्दा वापस में ही लेके जा रही हूँ क्योंकि इसके साथ काफ़ी सारे इश्यूज हैं। जैसे आप कह रहे हैं कि आप इस खबर के बारे में आपको इत्तला नहीं है, मैं आपको बताती हूँ कि हाल ही में ये खबर उठाई गई थी कि क्रेग्सलिस्ट पे एक ऐड थी जिसमें NDP कॉलर ID के लिए जो लोग हायर किए जा रहे थे उनको $13 पर आवर पंजाबी स्पीकिंग प्रोफेशनल्स की ज़रूरत थी, जिनको वो $13 पर आवर देंगे। उसके अलावा ये जो ऐड थी ये एक्सप्रेस एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज की तरफ से दी गई थी। तो इस ऐड देखने के बाद जब आप वेबसाइट पे जाएं उनके, तो वहाँ पे फ्रेंच स्पीकिंग जो स्पीकर्स हैं जिनकी तलाश की जा रही है NDP की वेबसाइट की तरफ से, उन्हें $15 पर आवर, हालांकि जो इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग है वहाँ पे $17 पर आवर। तो बात ये आती है कि NDP ये कह रहे हैं कि हमने वो ऐड नहीं दी है क्योंकि हम डायरेक्ट रिक्रूटमेंट करते हैं, पर कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग है क्योंकि वाकई उन्होंने ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया किसी कंपनी के साथ ही नहीं, ये तो दूसरी बात है। पर ये सवाल खड़े किए गए कि जहां हम $15 मिनिमम वेज की बात कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे आप खुद डिस्क्रिमिनेट कर रहे हैं। NDP ने अभी तक यही क्लेम किया है कि वो नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये कोई या तो बोगस एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोफेशनल सर्विसेज है जो उन्हें शायद डिफेम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो मैंने भी कई बिजनेसमैन जो हैं उनके साथ बात की है, आपने कई सारे सोल्यूशंस दिए कि सिर्फ मिनिमम वेज की बात ही नहीं, कई और सारे बेनिफिट्स भी आप देंगे। तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको लगता है कि $15 मिनिमम वेज को टारगेट किया जा रहा है या फिर इसको एक सिर्फ अभी वोटिंग टूल बना के वोट्स हासिल की जा रही हैं, क्योंकि प्रैक्टिकली आपको लगता है कि कनाडा में ये लागू हो पाएगा?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, हमारे हिसाब से तो we can certainly bring $15 minimum wage to across Canada. I mean, it's definitely not a concern. I mean, like I've said, right? Like, you know, you asked me earlier as well, it would be for the federal minimum wage, so it affects federal employees. But our goal would be then to be able to, you know, support and influence the provinces for them to also be able to bring up their minimum wage and be able to create incentives for small businesses and medium-sized businesses so that they too are in a position to be able to increase the minimum wage for people. You know, ultimately our goal is to ensure that people, you know, while we're supporting the growth of the economy, you know, which we recognize is currently in a recession, and while we're trying to create new jobs, you know, and kickstart the manufacturing industry, we also need to ensure that people can live affordably, right? Like, you know, everybody deserves to live well, and everybody deserves to live, and, you know, you know, things are not getting any cheaper. Things are getting far more expensive, and so it's important for us to give families that option, right, of being able to actually live. And there's, you know, the NDP has some really great policies where we're actually cutting certain programs in order to be able to offset other costs, right? So I think it's also important to recognize that. Like, we're talking about income splitting. I don't know if you've been familiar with that, but the income splitting program, we're talking about eliminating that, right? And how much of that money will actually save from there, which then we can reinvest into the economy as well. So there's lots of different ways that we can support families and ensure that they can live more affordably.
Okay. Do you support pipelines?
We have been talking about it. We've actually seen the pipelines as well. I know Tom's been very clear that the one that he's most interested in is the East Energy Pipeline, and that one. And you know, but he's also said, and the reason for that is because we want to be able to ensure that those jobs remain in Canada, right? So it's important for us to be able to transfer that the oil and ensure that we can actually do the processing within Canada, right? Which is in a way an opportunity for us to actually create more jobs, right? And keep the money within Canada. What he has said, though, very clearly also is that it all depends, that we would need to ensure that we do an environmental assessment and ensure that there's in no way will that affect the environment first, right? Because, you know, our goal also is to ensure that we, you know, address issues of the environment, but also address climate change, which we know is a big problem at this time.
Okay. A few days back, there is a study published by one of the university, and they clearly mentioned pipeline is the safest way of transporting oil from point A to point B. So, but whenever we talk to NDP, we know NDP policies they are very much concerned about pipelines. But when pipelines are the safest way of transporting the oil, why not promoting pipelines?
It's honestly, like I said, it's because it's the impact on the environment, but also impact on people, right? So we have seen, you know, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. You know, Tom's been very clear that we'd like to. We just want to make sure that it's safe, right? And that's the big piece for us, is the safety. So, you know, we've heard, you know, places and examples, you know, also in Alberta and other places where there's leaks in the pipes and like people, you know, their drinking water is being affected. There are reasons why we're concerned about it, but we want to make sure, but we recognize that it's also good for the economy. So we have to play a balance, right? We have to play a balancing act to be able to ensure that both people are safe, but also our economy is improving and we're able to save jobs, right?
So
you guys only support East Pipeline?
At this time, that's the one that we would prefer among the other three that have come up.
And any specific reason why you are supporting Eastern Pipeline?
It's specifically because the jobs would remain in Canada.
Okay. And you know, recently we heard few NDP candidates are commenting about oil sands. They are saying leave the oil sand in the ground. Do you agree with that?
Well, that was there was a candidate who said that. You know, but that unfortunately was taken out of context, and what she said really was the same. That, you know what, we need to balance, you know, the work that needs to be done with the oil sands with also ensuring that our climate is being looked at, right? Because I was at an event and I spoke, you know, was listening to Naomi Klein speak, and she's been talking about this as well. When you look at the types of forest fires and the types of floodings and all the different things that are happening within our environment, it's all a result of the fact that we're not taking care of our climate change, right, issues, right? And the reality is that this is our opportunity to ensure that we actually do something to reverse the issues of climate change, or at least to ensure that we don't actually further worsen it, because, you know, even if, you know, the temperature of the world goes up a couple of degrees, the amount of, you know, natural disasters that will start happening will directly impact us, right, as people, you know, and our living. So we need to be, you know, mindful of that, and I think that's what she was talking about, right, was the fact that, yes, you know what, there is issues around pollution and things, and we need to be able to introduce carbon taxes. It's not to say that we don't also need to support our economy, and therefore, you know, we can't fully cut off oil, obviously, but we have, the NDP's also been very clear about wanting to create new forms of energy, right, and being able to create new types of business, right, which, and that's why we've started this this new development, new technology and development incentive, right, for businesses, because we want to encourage new types of businesses to come up and new forms of energy as well.
So अगर हम बातचीत करें कि जैसे लिबरल सरकार जो है वो कॉमन मैन या मिडिल क्लास के साथ काम करना चाहती हैं, और स्टीफन हार्पर पे जो है वो ये लगाया जा रहा है कि कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी इज़ मेकिंग रिच मोर रिचर. तो अगर बात हम एनडीपी पार्टी की करें तो एनडीपी पार्टी कौन सी कॉम के साथ काम करना चाहती हैं और किस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर को वो प्रमोट करेंगी ताकि कनाडा का जो रिसेशन का इस वक्त समा है वो थोड़ा कम पड़ जाए?
जी, तो हमारी जो काम है, हम भी मिडिल क्लास की बात कर रहे हैं. एक्चुअली मिडिल क्लास जो हम, वी आर लुकिंग एट पीपल हु like everyday people, right, that are like, yes, absolutely, the Conservatives are very much focused on the top 15% of Canadians. They really only care about the wealthiest people, and उनकी सारी policies यही बता रही हैं कि they're continuing to invest in the multi-million-dollar corporations, right? They have no interest in supporting families, and so, and particularly those in the middle class, right? And even though, you know, some of their policies, some of their platform, you know, pieces around like income splitting and, you know, the universal child tax benefit are things that they suggest are supporting middle class families. I would really encourage people to recognize, you know, that the income splitting process is very much just supporting families that have one partner who's making $100,000 or more and one partner living at home, right? And if that's the case, then you can split your income between two people. I don't know about you, but most families that I know don't have that income amount, right? So it doesn't really affect very many people. NDP की भी बात यही है कि we're trying to support the middle class, and that is through issues, you know, like I said before, the $15 a day childcare program. That is a big deal for us because there are a lot of families who are paying a lot of money, right, for childcare, you know, and per child they're paying up to, you know, between $1,200 and $2,000 per child per month. That's unacceptable, right? I mean, there's issues of, you know, we're talking about introducing a national housing strategy, right? Where so that there's actually affordable housing. You know, this again is going to affect the middle class, right? We are the ones who, you know, are working, you know, precarious jobs or some, you know, there's so many people who are unemployed currently or working part-time jobs. We want to create better jobs, right, and good sustainable jobs, you know. So again, what we talked about, the manufacturing sector, right, we want to be able to kickstart manufacturing once more, and so we can actually improve the economy. One of the things I want to go back to is, I know I keep talking about the childcare program, but there's a particular reason for that, right? And just so you know, it's actually it's actually a proven model that's been introduced in Quebec, right? And while we know Tom was in the Quebec legislature, he was a part of that, right? So we saw that, you know, in Quebec, there were families who, you know, there were 70,000 moms that went back to work after that affordable childcare program was introduced, right? And then, you know, obviously if women are working, then they're, you know, they're paying taxes and the economy is flourishing, right? So those are the kinds of things where I love to, you know, I really think it's important for people to know that, you know, the NDP is not just about giving away money to people. It's also about ensuring that the economy is improving. And, you know, our programs, while they are very socially responsible, also have a benefit to, are also financially responsible.
So इसका मतलब आप यूनिवर्सल चाइल्ड केयर बेनिफिट प्लान के तो बिल्कुल ही खिलाफ हैं?
नहीं, हम we said is कि हम उसको रखेंगे, we'll keep it, मगर हमारा काम ये है कि हम child care को अगर हम कर दे, that'll actually make a difference, right? क्योंकि अब child care benefit जो है आपको अगर $200 या $500 महीने की मिल रहे हैं, तो that's only one thing, right? मगर आप फिर भी अगर अपने बच्चों के लिए $2,000 महीने के दे रहे हैं for child care, it doesn't make sense, right? तो हम यही कहेंगे कि we'll keep the child care tax benefit, but we'll reduce the cost of child care.
ओके आपने अभी बात करी लिबरल सॉरी क्यूबेक की आपने बोला कि जब थॉमस मेलकेयर क्यूबेक में लेजिस्लेशन में थे तो मुझे याद आ रहा है कि थॉमस जी उस टाइम लिबरल में थे बाद में थॉमस जी ने कंजर्वेटिव से नेगोशिएशन भी की some reason I'm not saying what happened but it didn't went through now he's in NDP how do you feel like having a leader who was in a liberal then negotiated with a conservative and now he's NDP?
Well, I mean, the reality is that, you know, yes, at the time he was a Liberal minister, and we know that. There was no provincial NDP at the time where he could come into the NDP, right? I mean, but also as an NDP, we don't do that. We don't do floor crossing, right? So he would have had to be re-elected in that position. So that's one. The other thing is that as far as the Conservative Party goes, yes, he, you know, and he's acknowledged that as well. They did approach him, but when he learned that their values did not align with what he believed in, then, you know, he didn't go with them, right? So that's also very clear. I stand by Tom, and the reason for that is because he is very much an NDP. You know, he's a New Democrat. He always has been. He's a man of integrity and a man of principles, right? Even when he left the Quebec legislature, there was a particular reason for that, right? You know, he was the Minister of the Environment and Development, right? So, you know, if somebody's being told that, you know, we're going to sell off, conservation areas and in order to sell to a private company to build condos, and he's the Minister of Environment and Development, and he disagrees with that, right? At the end of the day, if they continue, and the reason why he left was for that reason, because the province decided they would sell off the grasslands, right, and the conservation areas. So, you know, on principle, he left because he felt that that was wrong, and you know, and so that again shows, right, that he's a man of principles and he's a man of integrity. When he says he doesn't agree with something, he's not going to do it. And that's the same thing when it goes back to, you know, today, right? Like the issues of C-51, for example, right? Like, you know, the problem with the Liberal Party is that they, you know, Justin Trudeau verbally said he didn't agree with the C-51, but in fact, and in reality, his entire caucus actually voted in favor of it, right? So when you say that you're, you know, that you're a person of integrity, then you want to be able to, you know, your words need to match your actions, right? And that's the issue.
Let's talk about your riding. As you said, you are door knocking. So what are the issues, or what are the issues people living in your riding are discussing with you or talking to you about?
Well, because we're a Mississauga Centre, I mean, it's a very diverse riding. So whether it be, you know, geographic, you know, whether it be ethnically diverse, or whether that means like it's diverse as far as, you know, economic status, right? But one of the things that, you know, people a lot of talk about is there's a couple of things, right? So obviously, you know, locally people are concerned about issues of traffic and issues of, you know, higher property tax and things like that. The other thing that they also talk about is the fact that, you know, a lot of people don't know that healthcare is being cut as well, right? So, you know, $37 billion is now being cut out of healthcare, and that's probably one of the biggest secrets that, you know, the Harper Conservatives have kept from people. So a lot of people don't recognize that, right? So also having conversations with them about, the fact that healthcare is going to be cut, and if that continues, that, with the elimination of the Health Council and also the elimination of or not renewing the Health Accord, that within 5 years we could be looking at semi-privatized healthcare, right? And that's an issue that a lot of people, regardless of what economic status they have, they're concerned about that. There are some seniors as well who are concerned about the issues of the change of age, right, for pension. Whether it's a senior's pension, it's now 67, right, as opposed to 65. So why are they having to wait 2 more years before they can actually retire, right? So that's an issue. A lot of families, are concerned because they either don't have good jobs or are looking for, or working 2 jobs, right? I've met moms that are saying, single parents that have said, I had to quit my job because I couldn't afford to pay for childcare, so therefore in order for me to get subsidy, I'm going to have to quit my job, right? Those are things that in Canada are really not acceptable, right? Like that shouldn't be happening. So these are just some of the issues. I mean, there are also concerns about C51 and C24 that have come up as well.
Okay.
So with that, I'd like to ask you कि पूरे कनाडा भर में जहाँ वोटिंग का जो सिलसिला है शुरू है, कुछ प्रोविंसेस में स्टीफन हार्पर को सपोर्ट किया जा रहा है, कुछ में एनडीपी टॉम मुल्केर, कुछ में लिबरल्स के ट्रूडो. आप कहाँ तक कॉन्फिडेंट हैं कि कौन सी स्टेट्स में आपको सबसे ज़्यादा फ़ायदा मिलने वाला है?
Well, अब तो हमारा ख्याल तो ये है कि Quebec में तो हम तो देख ही रहे हैं कि we last election we had quite a bit of support in Quebec, right? The 2011 wave, that's where that happened. Recently we've seen it in Alberta as well, so we've definitely broke through the conservative part, the conservative, I guess, hub of Alberta, and now across the board, I mean, we're seeing it, right? I mean, even in Ontario, like we're meeting a lot of people at the doors who are just very tired of Stephen Harper and the Harper Conservatives and are just ready for change. And when it comes to change, they're not saying that they're talking about the Liberal Party, they're talking about Tom Mulcair, right? And that's not just the people who are Liberal supporters, but also Conservative supporters, right? Conservative members have actually said at the door, you know what, I don't like Harper's, policies. He's just taken it too far. This, especially around the, recent scandals that are happening with Mike Duffy and the corruption that we're seeing, and now, just this sort of ever, ongoing level of secrecy, right, that they have within the party, and that sort of constant need to exert power and control over everyone is something that a lot of Conservative members are also very upset about.
So, एक सवाल मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी. हाल ही में एक खबर आई थी कि काफ़ी सारे जो पोल्स हैं वो एनडीपी को काफ़ी आगे दिखा रहे हैं. 33%, 32% की जो है उन्हें सपोर्ट मिल रही है. उसके अलावा कंजर्वेटिव्स जो थे 27-28 की फिगर में हैं या फिर 30-32 की फिगर है. मैं हाल ही में जो एक और एक सर्वे है सामने आया है जिसमें अब कंजर्वेटिव्स 3rd प्लेस पे हो गए हैं और लिबरल्स जो हैं वो 2nd प्लेस पे हो गए हैं. एनडीपी अपनी स्टैटिक पोजीशन पे हैं. तो एक ये भी कहा जा रहा है कि ये जो सर्च इंजन्स के थ्रू होता है, जो ये सर्च किए जाते हैं या ये जो सर्विस किए जाते हैं, इनके इन्फ्लुएंस के अंडर जो है लोग कई बार अपना जो फैसला है वो करते हैं. क्या आप इससे सहमत हैं या वाकई ही लोग अपनी सोच और अपनी समझ से वोटिंग करते हैं?
मेरे ख्याल से तो, I mean, एक तो अच्छी, I mean, obviously it's great that we're leading in the polls, and that's, obviously it's a level of excitement that you
But NDP numbers are not going up. You guys are just stuck there, and most of the polls maybe you guys came a little bit down. Liberals are the one which are going up. Conservatives are the one which went down.
Right. So
I mean, you guys are at number 1 for sure. That's good news.
Yeah,
but
no, exactly.
Concern is you guys are not going up.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, well, the thing is, right, and that's why we don't necessarily follow just the polls. I mean, it's good to see that in the polls. It's always helpful to see it. But I mean, the reality is that, polls are just polls, right? At the end of the day, it's the people who make the decision, right? So we saw that, also in Alberta, right? The Conservatives paid 3 times or whatever as much, money to actually, fund their campaigns. And while the NDP was the underdog, we still, people spoke out loud and clear that they were sick of the Conservatives, right? So in the same way, I mean, when we're meeting people at the doors, the people are very much clear that they, are ready for change. And when we talk about change, a lot of people are saying they're going to support the NDP. You know what? Because on principle, they feel that, it's the right thing for them to do, right? They may not disclose it to other people. They may not, they might be Liberal members or, Conservative members and want to maintain that relationship with the parties. They may not fully publicly disclose that information, but there are a lot of people who very much are in support of Tom Mulcair. And, I've heard it at the doors, right? People people are saying he's a strong man. He's, you know, he's got the guts. He's got the courage. He's experienced. You know, I just like the fact that he can be the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Okay, ये आपने 2 बार अल्बर्टा की 2-3 बार अल्बर्टा का नाम लिया, and I do agree अल्बर्टा में जो change हुआ, you know, totally change. It's surprising. I'm from Calgary, but after that election, NDP का जो वहाँ पे ग्राफ है वो नीचे जा रहा है, and even अगर आप देखेंगे तो Rachel Notley is also, you know, it's probably understanding between Rachel and Thomas. Rachel is staying away from federal election. Do you think that is a sign in Alberta कि वहाँ conservative ज़्यादा सीटें ले जाएं NDP से?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Notley is just trying to. Notley has said that she likes Tom. I mean, she's an NDPer and she always has been. Yeah, she's, you know, she's going to vote for the NDP like she always has. Ki sari family bhi NDP ki hai. But ye hai ki, you know.
Then why is not she coming and so, you know, campaigning for Thomas Mulcair?
Well, I mean, she's been seen at places, right? I mean, she hasn't publicly made a statement with him, but it's not to say that, I mean, I think she's being a good premier and just that, you know, she wants to be open to supporting any government that comes in.
But if we see Ontario premier, she is open, she is a liberal and she's openly supporting leader. That, I think that gives her more confidence to leader or people of the province.
I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing for her to be doing, to be honest, because not a lot of people are very happy with Kathleen either these days. So I don't know if that's going to really hurt or benefit the Liberal Party, to be honest, in Ontario, because a lot of people are very upset with her, whether it be for issues of, you know, education or issues of selling off hydro. There's a lot of things that are problematic with the provincial party anyway, but it's a provincial issue, so I won't get into that. But as far as the NDP goes and Rachel Notley, I think she has, you know, said positive things about Tom Mulcair, and she obviously is an NDP person. I think she is also a new premier, and she wants to make sure that she maintains some, and I can't speak for her, but it seems that she wants to just be open to any government that comes into power.
Okay. Do you have any message for our audience?
Yeah, I would like to encourage people to first go out and vote. It is very important. This particular election is the most important election that I believe we have in Canada's history up till now, because it's about our civil rights and our rights as Canadians, right? We need to fundamentally shift the way in which we live as Canadians. This last few months particularly, we've seen things that have happened that have fundamentally shifted the way Canada is and will affect the future of our children. So it's very important that you vote, and vote for the party that you believe is going to represent your values. And I would tell you that the NDP is that party, but definitely vote on your conscience. Don't worry about what other people tell you. Vote for what you believe, and make sure that you do the vote for the party that truly represents your values.
Ma'am, आप आज हम टाइम निकाल के हमारी स्टूडियो में आई. We want to thank you for that, and we wish you good luck for your campaign, and we hope we will see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.